Yo, welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris Furlong, I am your host, and today we're actually talking about the success, happiness, and this is a bit of a conversation, well, it's actually a blog that I wrote a while back, but it's a conversation I want to have with you and just help you think and maybe really bring some perspective around, chasing success, but also chasing happiness and how they kind of tie in together, overlap, and when you bring them both together, how you can have some passion and some purpose in all that you're doing. So let's get into it. So I think one of the big questions that we always have and that society is always, kind of toing and throwing around, or I guess helping us struggle with, is who defines success and what is success and how is it defined? And as I said, it's kind of like that ongoing battle between society and ourselves of what that looks like or what it should look like. And it's a never-ending war. We tend to consume and come to believe success versus reality of the experience or, what we're feeling or living each day. But ultimately, success comes down to you being happy. And there is a broader conversation here, and that's what the purpose of this episode is because I believe success is defined by you and you alone and your relationship between happiness and feeling happy. Let me share with you. If you give a dog a bone, it will be happy, but once consumed, it will expect more and come back for more. Like a child taking candy from a candy jar, one taste will make their eyes blossom and bring a smile to their dial. Yet when they want more, and there is a big fat no, you can't have any more candy, the feeling of happiness is stripped away. So the question I have for you for today is, do you have happiness or do you just feel happy from time to time? Now, with this in mind, I guess the whole other part that I want to then bring into this is, well, what about passion? And what about the journey to purpose? Now, when you think about passion or when you think about purpose, what do you really feel? I guess it's a bit of a oversaturated or overused or generalized term that we kind of just throw around. It's a bit cliche, but what do you really think? We throw it around like it's simple as sliced bread, but that's the catch. Slicing bread isn't that easy for everyone, or cutting cheese. For instance, you try and cut cheese, nice and tight and straight and even, and so that it's going to sit nicely on whatever you're having it on. It's not even that easy. I can put my hands up that, I can slice cheese, but there's always that bend going into the cheese block, and then you try and hack into it and it just ruins it. It's the same for the bread. If you're having to cut bread yourself manually and it's not sliced, it's the same deal. You want to try and get that perfect size so you can fit it into the toaster, but then sometimes it's too big or sometimes it's too small, and then you think, oh, this wasn't really as much as I wanted. But look, I digress. So it's not as simple as it sounds, looks, or even feels. And this is the same for, when it comes to passion and the journey to purpose. It can be a journey of practice, repetitive actions, and sometimes there may even be a lot of pain along the way. And of course, sometimes when you're cutting cheese, when you're cutting bread, you might cut yourself. You might hurt yourself if you're not doing it right. And it's the same for when you are chasing and pursuing the passion or trying to find, or while you are embarking on that journey to purpose. Now, if we bring these two together, not so simple elements together actually, happiness and passion, trying to accomplish them individually, or even passively where you're trying to do other things, or when you're trying to find the other, it's not as easy as it sounds. As we've kind of just discussed, right? You'll be required to obviously do all the overhyped words or get into the hustle or do the grit or do it with grit. And, you'll be required to have a lot of motivation and a lot of discipline. And it's, well, I guess if we want to be honest, it's a whole lot of hard work. And I think that's the key thing here is sometimes happiness is hard work. Finding happiness, living happiness, being happy, finding success, finding passion, embarking on that journey of purpose is a whole lot of hard work. It does. It requires the motivation, it requires the discipline, it requires the hustle, and it requires the grit. And sometimes those things are just too much to deal with. If it is too much to deal with, or if the whole lot of hard work is kind of throwing you off, well, let's just strip away the hustle, let's strip away the grit, and let's just focus on the motivation and the discipline. But let's redefine it, right? And there's some questions that I want to ask you. What is one thing that you can do today that will bring you happiness? What is one thing that you can do today which will make you smile? What is one thing you would be happy to do each day or any day, and that is all that matters? Okay, so you've had 3 questions. And hopefully, I hope you have identified something that has made you smile or makes you smile, that brings you happiness, and that you would do day in and day out if you could. So, the next big question that I have for you, or 3 questions actually, is, are you doing this? Are you doing these 3 things? Are you trying to include these 3 things into your life? If no, why not? And then my third point is, don't make an excuse if you're just saying, I just don't have time. What is the real reason? Because if you humor me for a moment, if you say you don't have time, then it's more of a priority conflict, right? If you say you're too tired, it's simply due to your effort being spent somewhere else, which is fair enough being too tired, but how do you bring out that time being spent somewhere else to ensure that you have the energy to be able to do this? Is it changing your schedule? Is it reshuffling things? Is it coming down to priorities? If you say you don't know how to start, well, that's great, that's okay. Then the best way to start is to take action. Break it down. Come back to what is the one thing I need to do today that will enable me to get a little closer? And I think sometimes we think about the end goal, we think about the end game, which is great because you want to know where you're going. But you think that you're going to do one thing, or 1, 2, 3, skip a few, 99, 100, and you're going to be sitting where you want to be. It's like when people say, New Year's resolution, this year I'm going to lose 20 kilos. And they talk about it, but they talk about it as if it's already done. And then when they go to do the work, they realize, okay, this is a lot harder and it's quite overwhelming. Whereas if you had just started, today I'm going to do 10 push-ups. Today I'm going to do 10 push-ups. Today I'm going to do 11 push-ups. Today I'm going to do 12 push-ups. Those small little things over time, it might not get you to the 20 kilos lost, but it's going to build the habits, it's going to build the mindset, and it's going to get you into a place where you're starting and taking action. The other one is, are you scared? Is that maybe something that is the real reason? And this sometimes defers us from taking action and starting. And sometimes we can use it as an excuse. But if you are feeling scared, it's a simple little technique to just ask yourself or write it down, what is the worst that can happen? Right? If you start and you fail, just try again. You pivot, you adjust. If you do this and someone says no, okay, you're in the same position you were when you started. So I think sometimes we put things into our mind and into our head and we overthink. But when you break it down, there's plenty of ways to move forward. There's plenty of ways to progress and plenty of ways to find things. Now, happiness is, it's a big conversation, and there's so many things going on in the world at the time of this podcast with people in different situations, whether it's to do with the pandemic, whether it's to do with just life in general. But regardless, happiness is always going to be a bit of a juggle and a bit of a struggle. So I think coming back to the 3 questions that I asked you before was, what is one thing you can do today which will bring you happiness? What is that? Find that and make sure you bring that in, right? And what is one thing that you can do today that will make you smile? Find that and bring that into your day. And what is one thing that you'd be happy to do each day or any day? And that is all that matters. And this is the thing which is most likely driving you to curiosity of where your passion is and a journey to purpose. If you can tap into that, explore that, see what it does, because most likely that is bringing you happiness, that is bringing you the smile, and that's making you feel the most purpose out of the day. So I dare you to jump into that and to discover it. Now, there's probably also people here listening to this, potentially, saying, but Chris, I'm already doing all this, or I don't see the value, I don't feel motivated, I don't have the support I feel, and you might even feel that you're not good enough, and you doubt all this that we've just discussed. Well, I think I want to break it down into 4 other things then. You need to think about the bigger picture, right? Sometimes not all good things, but sometimes good things, it takes hard work, as I had mentioned, and it takes a lot of effort, and it requires all those things I mentioned: the grit, the discipline, the hustle, the time, the effort. But you need to think about what's the bigger picture. What are you pursuing? Are you pursuing something greater? And I'm not saying like a bigger purpose or something, but yourself. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? That can be a little overwhelming, but start small. Break it down. Where do you want to be at the end of the month, right? Sometimes we think about 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 5 years, when really, think about a 30-day challenge. What can you do in 30 days? What can you change in 30 days? Can you bring these things into play for 30 days and see if you can make a change? And see if you can help that happiness tip over. The other thing is seeking happiness over comfort. I think sometimes we can get confused between happiness and comfort. It's like when you go to the snack store and you find all the chocolate. You feel good. It makes you feel great. It might make you feel happy for a small period of time, but that's not giving you that full wholesome happiness for a long period of time. For me, happiness is doing something with purpose, and I'm willing to do it not because someone's telling me, but because I want to be doing it. And this podcast is that example, or me doing my own business, or me doing my running journey. They're all things that I'm striving to get further in my own life, whether it is for financial gain, to set myself up, or whether it's to be able to help others and to see other people grow. And that's what I enjoy doing, is seeing other people's success come to life. Or maybe it's because I just want to be able to show myself that I'm able to do these things. And that's when it comes into the running and training, because sometimes you do need something in your life to remind you that you put in the hard work, yeah, you'll get the result. And running, you have to put in the work and you get a result quite quickly. So that reminds me that I'm capable of getting it done. So sometimes you need to make sure you understand what are you seeking, and it's not that you're seeking comfort over happiness, but making sure that you are seeking happiness over comfort. The other one is sometimes we just need a fan. Sometimes we need someone to just give us a boost. And I'll put my hand up and say, look, this whole podcast is to encourage you to bring you insights or understanding of other people's life stories. And the idea is that it's going to enable you, it's going to inspire you, and hopefully motivate you to pursue your own passions or your own way of furthering your lifestyle. So I'm super keen to be your super fan, right? If you need someone to support, you need someone to bounce an idea, you need someone to just say, hey, what about this? Will it work? Hey, reach out, hit us up on the DMs on Instagram, drop a comment, reach out to our email, and let's have a conversation. Because at the end of the day, sometimes we have the doubt, we just can't see past that big mountain or barrier in front of us, and we just need someone to help guide us. It's like when you go bowling and you need to put the guardrails up so that you can, potentially get that strike. And that's what it's all about, right? Is helping each other. So let me play that back to you. If you are thinking you're already doing this and it's not working, all the things that I had discussed before, you don't feel motivated, you feel like you don't have the support, these are 4 things I want to say to you. Is think about the greater. What can you do over time? What can you do to get yourself where you want to be? Where do you even want to be? Because if you don't know where you want to be, it's going to be harder for you to be motivated to pursue that. Ensuring that you're understanding, happiness versus comfort, and making sure you are seeking happiness over comfort. And then the other one is finding someone to support you, whether it's accountability, whether it's someone to just check in, bounce ideas, or just to, get some of that feedback. And like I said, we're more than happy to be your super fan, support you along the way, give some feedback. That's what it's all about. And I would love to see what everyone's doing. So if you do have something, do share. All right, folks. Well, that's what I wanted to discuss with you today. And I think it's very important for us to just take the time to invest in yourself, understand where you're going, what you're doing, what you want to be doing, where you want to be going, because the big questions or the big conversations around success, happiness, passion, it's overwhelming. It can become like you just grinding away and things aren't changing. And sometimes we need to tip it over or spin it around or pivot it or adjust how we are perceiving it to help us move forward or define it differently, or maybe just to clean the mirror a bit and look at ourselves and understand, okay, this is actually what I want. So I really do hope this conversation has been great for you, because for me, when I wrote this, it was the same feeling I was feeling of trying to understand, well, what do I want to achieve, or where do I want to be going, and what does success even look like? And of course, this is how I've defined it. This is how I've envisioned it and see it. And it's going to be different slightly for everyone. But I think sometimes we get confused between that relationship of happiness and feeling happy. And feeling happy being short, but having happiness is being a bit more long-term. And I think that is key, is finding that happiness over just feeling happy. Really do appreciate being here. If you do have questions, concerns, or maybe you have a difference of opinion for this one, do let us know. You can reach out to us on YouTube. You can reach out to us on our email or on Instagram as well. Of course, we are on YouTube, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, so you can check us out in all those good places. YouTube, we do have the video experience. Otherwise, really do appreciate being here. My name's Chris Furlong. I am your host, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to have this conversation with you. Have a good one. Now, if you didn't know, we do have the podcast merch, and this is with a key focus of enamel pins. Now, if you haven't checked these out, make sure you do, because the intent of these are really just to be a small token and a reminder for you to charge on, to push on, and to further your lifestyle. Whether it is a gift for someone else to encourage them, or maybe to inspire them, or maybe it's a way to motivate yourself, or you can simply just make a purchase to simply support the podcast, which would be greatly appreciated. We do also have some sweaters and some long tees, so make sure you check it out. Link in the description and in the show notes. Really do appreciate it. Cheers.